Good morning. Today is the 19th of January 2021. Notice we have a sunrise that's quite colorful. And we're going to take pictures starting off with the sunrise. And I'm now taking pictures off to the left of where the sun is actually coming up. So to show you that the horizon for quite a wide view is pink. And the main thing we're focusing on today, 19th of January, the day before Inauguration Day, where the fake President Joe Biden is supposed to be inaugurated, we expect to see some action in Washington, D.C. and other places where major arrests will be taking place according to the prophets of God that we have listened to and believed. And so we're focusing on the sunrise and see if there's any message here that we can get out of the sky today. Ooh, what's this? Birds in the sky. And it just so happens that these birds are crows, which we have already identified as an unclean bird biblically. And all of these pictures from now on, until I tell you later, has lots and lots of birds. You can see them here. They're fairly small because I've got my camera in a wide angle view to be able to catch the birds that were flying by. And there was just one parade of birds that were coming from left to right, right to left, which was south to the north. If that makes any difference, there's birds in this picture as well. And the birds, they weren't like starlings where there was a whole big cloud of them. They were just strung out, and sometimes I'd get 10 or 15 in a picture, sometimes I'd get one or two. But they just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. So I just kept taking pictures of the birds because I expected that, these are going to be the last ones, and then another group would come, and then I'd keep taking pictures, and then it'd straggle out again, and then more would come. Like here there's like 6 or 8. So the birds just kept coming and coming and coming. And so I figured, gee, the timing of this cloud of birds coming by is probably significant. And we'll talk about that later. But let's talk about the kind of bird. Remember in earlier videos we described clean birds. There were two types of clean birds. There was the small ones that eat seeds, and then there was the geese that came later, and in between those was crows. And we identified the message of the crows flying around was evil, because an unclean bird represents evil. And when we see a lot of them, we would probably consider that to be a sign of lots of evil. And since today we had hundreds and hundreds of birds, it almost seemed like they were flying in a big circle around me, because they just kept coming from the south and kept coming and kept coming. And I said, well, they must be circling around my house and then coming from the south. But it wasn't. They were just coming and coming and coming, lots and lots of them. And in relation to what's going on in Washington, D.C., where we expect mass arrests, these arrests are not going to just be all done in one day. They're going to be stretched out over a period of time. And maybe the amount of time these birds took to come by in this video is indicative of how long it's going to take to make all the arrests. And So I timed them. Well, I didn't time them. I just took the pictures until they quit coming, and then I went back and looked at the timestamps. And from the first bird, they came at 7:39 in the morning, and the last bird, or the last crow, came by at 7:54 in the morning. So there were 15 minutes of birds coming by. And I equated that to a message that the arrests, in order to clean up all this corruption, is going to stretch out for 15 days. And the amount of birds in these pictures, in the early pictures of this video, there were more birds. And toward the end, they got straggled out. So there were, individual birds or one or two birds. And so the arrests will have a lot of people being arrested up front the first few days of the mass arrests, and then later on we're going to be picking up stragglers here and there. But to clean up the corruption, it's going to take a long time, and I'm going to say the majority of it's going to be done in about 15 days. And that is what I get from a message from this video. Started off looking at a beautiful sunrise, not as spectacular as some of the ones we've seen already, but a very nice looking sunrise. Even looked like there was going to be some sun rays that we could interpret, but they didn't form the form of a cross, so I didn't consider that significant. But the birds started coming, and I focused on the birds for 15 minutes. And now later on, starting right about here, no more birds are coming. No more crows. No more evil, unclean birds. And we see some familiar signs in the sky here, in the pictures. We see dark spots, which indicate corruption, and we see bright spots, which indicate distraction or deception. Mainstream media is, using shiny objects and bright things to try to get our attention off of what's really going on in the background. And one thing I like about this series of pictures is toward the end, we don't have any fake suns above or below the real sun. And I did figure out what caused that. It's the two panes of glass in the window I was taking pictures through. And depending on where I held the camera, whether I held it up high or held it down low, it caused the multiple bright spots, or the fake suns, which we interpreted as fake presidents. Well, I don't see any fake presidents or fake suns in this video, and I'm glad of that. But we will see bright spots like here and dark spots like here, and that indicates corruption and deception. Remember, the Bible has warned us about deception. It says, do not be deceived. And the great deceiver is still here and is still trying to deceive the world. But the corruption in the natural, that's the people, is being cleaned up as we speak. And we expect mass arrests in the next few days, the next couple weeks. Lord, thank you for the message today. Thank you for the chance to share it on YouTube. And God bless everyone who watches.